Welcome in to a special live edition to the Barnes on Bama. My name's Owen Barnes, and I'm your host here. If you have never met me, glad to meet you. So decided to go live today. Wanted to talk about Alabama's exhibition win over Furman. We will talk about that here shortly. Just a little bit of heads up for anybody who has never been here before or anybody who is new. This is going to be a little different. So I am going to be answering questions kind of on the later part of this episode. At the beginning, I want to talk about the Furman game, what I think I learned in the game. For anybody that's curious, I did put up a written article, and I'll put it scrolling across the bottom now. But the written article is up on barnesonbama.com. That's where I'm going to host all of my written content this year instead of over on Substack. It just makes it a little easier. I can host everything all in one place. So just for a little bit of a heads up, that's where that's going to be. In terms of the pregame threads, for anybody who is interested in that kind of stuff, I know I've posted them on for basketball all the last couple of seasons. Those are still going to be hosted on Twitter X as well, but they are also going to be on my website. So if you are curious in reading those, like I said, follow me over on Twitter. I'll put those out the morning of the game like normal, but those also will be going live on the website as well, just for anybody that might be interested. As I mentioned, want to start this kind of live stream talking about the Furman exhibition. I think that there's a good bit that we learned in this exhibition. So I want to start with just some of my basic thoughts. Then I will talk about the box score. We'll throw the box score up. We'll kind of talk about the stuff that I think you can see in the box score that I think really bumps. But really quick, want to give a shout out to honestly one of my day one supporters, Miss Cindy Jones, talking about great seeing Aiden having a great game. 100% agree with that. Aiden Holloway does win the Hard Hat Award. I thought that what we saw out of Aiden was phenomenal. Was definitely going to talk about him because when you looked at what happened in that Bama and Boutwell game, Aiden Holloway did not shoot well, right? He shot 2 of 9 from 3. And, it was kind of pointed out that him and Houston Millett combined to go 4 of 16. And when you think about Alabama's backcourt, especially missing Jalil Bethea, it was a standpoint of how good was Alabama's backcourt going to be. And I'm a firm believer of Alabama's backcourt being one of the best in the entire country. I think LeBaron Philon is one of the best in the entire country. Obviously, what you saw out of him the last couple of games, he's really grown into his own. I think that Aiden Holloway has been very, very good. But I think a lot of that, some people looked at maybe Houston Millett, Aiden Holloway, like, are they going to be able to shoulder the load? Again, with Trelly coming back from his injury and then with Jalil Bethea being injured currently, I think that they showed that today, right? I think in this exhibition, they showed exactly what they are. Obviously, I'm kind of the mindset Aiden Holloway is a great shooter. Just give him the opportunity and he's going to be there. And 100% Miss Cindy. No problem with the shout out. Like I said, I really do appreciate for anybody who hasn't been followed or subscribed to the channel any length of time. Miss Cindy's always down in the comments. She's been around for quite some time, so I really do appreciate the support. Like I said, going to get into the Furman exhibition, talk a little bit about what I think kind of jumped out the most to me. Then we'll jump into the box score, and then we'll kind of just go through with comments because I do expect kind of later on that we're going to have some people joining that are going to have a bunch of different questions, comments, concerns that I'm happy to address. So let's talk about Furman. So Alabama wins this game by a score of 96-71. I think that the big thing that you have to look at when you look at this exhibition is a standpoint of Alabama did not start this exhibition super well. Alabama actually goes down 9-0 to start the game. And if you read my write-up in the lead up to this game, something that I pointed out and something that, if anybody knows me, I kind of looked into the KenPom numbers of what Furman had done historically. So first of all, Furman this season is ranked, obviously preseason KenPom numbers can only be taken, fairly lightly because of all the transfers and everything that happens. But Furman's ranked about 133 in the country in KenPom. For reference, that's substantially better than North Dakota that we're going to be playing on Monday, but obviously worse than anyone that we're going to be playing in the SEC. The SEC is all top 100. What that also means is when you're considering Furman over the last couple of seasons has been in that 12 to 13 seed range in the NCAA tournament, right? Bob Ritchie's done a really, really good job with his teams. And what his teams are known for is two main things. They shoot a ton of threes and they assist on almost all their made baskets. Last season, over the course of their season, about 51% of their shots were from behind the arc and about 65% of their shots were assisted on. Those were both for top 5 in the entire country. And that was something that I think I really wanted to pay attention to in this game is what was our defense going to look like off of the pass, because I knew that Furman does a really, really good job passing the rock. And so our defense had to be right on the guy off the pass. And I was curious what our defense was going to look like at the 3-point line. Because simply put, when you look at our defense on the 3-point line, what you have to consider is the fact that Alabama is, as for as fast as we play and how much we crash the glass, sometimes Alabama is late to transitions when you're talking about threes. Sometimes we'll collapse into the inside and we have some spray out threes, and we had a decent number of those in this game. Furman was not able to execute, but that is something that I think you're going to have to watch long term with this team is, I think that we had a lot of extra help defense, which helped us get a few extra steals. But it was a situation when Furman was able to get the shot off. Like I said, some they made, some they missed. But that is something where if you have a situation where you gamble on the steal and you don't get it, you can sometimes leave the wide open three available. I think that came to fruition a little bit in this game. Obviously, you still win by 25 points. You can't be super upset with that. But I do think that is something worth noting. Additionally, when you look at this game with the fact that Alabama did go down 9-0 to start this game, you additionally have to just think that Alabama did a really, really good job rebounding from that standpoint. Funny enough, as I mentioned, rebounding was a part of this game that was very strange. When halftime rolled around, Alabama was a 15 rebound better, right? They had 14, I'm sorry. It was 29-15 in Alabama's favor. And the thing that surprised me about that, with Alabama having 29 and Furman just having 15, was the standpoint of I was under the mindset that Alabama was up by maybe 4 or 5. I truly did not think Alabama was up by 14. I thought that Alabama may be up a couple, but I did not think that we were up that much. It's just because it felt like there were multiple possessions where Furman had gotten 2 or 3 shots, right? There was one major possessions that I remember where Furman got 3 shots from 3, right? Kind of the thing that we've seen Alabama do a good bit over the last couple of seasons. And it felt like Furman just over and over and over again was getting those shots. Now, what it really seemed like is Alabama had lapses on a couple of possessions, not the course of the entire first half, which led to the reason why Alabama was up by so much. It's like when they were locked in on the full possession, Alabama was getting the rebound and was doing really, really well. Alabama obviously had more offensive rebounds, more defensive rebounds than Furman in that first half. But when Alabama really locked in on that rebounding side of the ball, they were completely fine. And then when Furman was able to lock in more than Alabama, they did get a couple of chances, and that led to some easy Furman points. The other thing that was the number one thing that I wrote, if you read my article, was health. I was curious on the health of Latrell Wrightsell and the health of Noah Williamson. Noah Williamson did not play a ton in this game. I think a lot of that still has to do with speed. I think he's still getting used to the speed in which we play. I think that that's something that you're going to see kind of through the course of the beginning of the season. When you play some bigger body teams that need an additional center, I think that you're going to see a good amount of play out of Noah Williamson. Yet when you see some faster paced games where, Alabama just gets out and runs and the other team is willing to run with us, I do think Noah Williamson is probably not going to play as much, especially in the non-conference part of that slate. I think that by the time conference play rolls around, I do think that he's going to be more conditioned and more ready to run for some of those. But I do think early in the non-conference, it would not shock me if he does not get as much playing time, especially, like I said, especially when it's a big, super fast game. And I think that's okay. However, when you're talking about Latrell Wrightsell was phenomenal in this game. I thought that Trelly did exactly what you wanted him to do. His dribble looked tighter. His shot looked great. He hit a really, really deep three from, Aiden Holloway range, Steph Curry range, whatever you want to call it. A couple of them, they shot really deep threes. Was really excited to see it go down the basket. He shot well from the free throw line, which we know Trelly is, historically been very, very good at. I mean, he went an entire season without missing a free throw for Alabama. I thought he looked really good, comfortable at the line. I thought that, driving to the basket, he did really well. I'm glad we took him out when he did because, admittedly with Latrell, because he's been hurt the last 2 seasons, one with a concussion and then the second one with the Achilles injury, he is somebody that I don't want to have play a ton because he's going to give it 100% if he's on the floor, right? And so there is a standpoint that I really appreciated that we got him some play time. We got him out on the court to get comfortable and be ready for the start of the season, but we didn't let him overexert himself. We didn't let him, do too much. You didn't let him get to a point where he's going to get hurt. I think that was the big thing about Latrell. They talked about having him on potentially a minutes restriction or whatever, but I thought that what he did in the minutes that he was on the floor was absolutely incredible. I think Trelly will again be one of your best guards in the entire country. I think personally, for the way Alabama plays offense and what Alabama likes to do, he is one of the most versatile and important people that Alabama has on the team. I think that, again, he's somebody from a perimeter defense perspective, and I know Joe Corona talks about this a lot. From a perimeter defense perspective, he's phenomenal. He's one of your best perimeter defenders. Additionally, he's one of your best three-point shooters. He's just consistent. His handle's gotten so much better that you saw in this game, and I think that in general, Trelly's going to be a big, addition to have him back this season. The other two guys that I want to mention before we jump into the box score is the two freshmen there are two of the freshmen, I guess, in Davion Hanna and Amari Allen. I think that Davion Hanna and Amari Allen are going to come down and be two of the most important guys on the team this year. I think that down the stretch of the season, I think that as they continue to get more and more comfortable throughout conference play and such, I think that they're going to be very, very important for this team. I think Amari Allen and Davion Hanna have already shown early in these two exhibitions how good they are at rebounding the basketball. In the first half of this one, they had 12 rebounds. I forget seeing what they finished at. We'll look at it when we jump into the box score. They had 15 last game. Additionally, both of them have pretty good defense. Amari Allen seems like his on-ball defense is really, really good. Davion Hanna had an insane chase down block in this game. Both of them to me look like they're going to be really good defenders long term. Are they going to have some freshman lapses? Sure, but I think that long term they're going to both be really good defenders. Amari Allen really couldn't get a shot going in these first two exhibitions, but he's somebody that you've heard a lot about from a shooting perspective. So I do think that Amari Allen long term is going to be a really good shooter for you. Additionally, having a guard at his size to be able to go down low, I think is a big deal. Him and Davion Hanna, both have incredible athleticism. So I think that they're both going to be guys that are going to be able to finish physically in the SEC, right? When you think about the SEC, that's, one of the benefits of a guy like Chris Youngblood. Was he had the build and the body to be able to go in and bang with the physicality of the SEC. I think what Davion Hanna and Amari Allen give you is that same thing, except they give it to you a little bit taller. With Davion Hanna being closer to 6'7", that just gives you a better build for what you're looking for. 6'6", 6'7", right? It just gives you a little bit bigger guy that can, again, go down low, finish, have solid defense, really good rebounding, right? I think that what we've seen out of those two guys in these first exhibitions have been incredible. I've really, really been excited about what I've seen out of them. Not to speak poorly about Jemison or Collins. I think that both of them, have had flashes and have had moments, but I think that Amari Allen and Davion Hanna definitely have been the ones that kind of stood out the most in these first two exhibitions, at least to me, from a newcomer's perspective. So let's hop into the box score real quick, because I think there is a good bit we can draw from it as well. And let's get this overlay out of the way. So Alabama, as we said, wins by a score of 96-71. Some things that immediately jump out at me. Amari Allen finishes with 11 at 9. I think that a double-double for him is going to be on double-double watch just about all season. I think that his rebounding ability is kind of there, where, rebounding from that guard wing position is going to be something that you're going to expect to see out of him, especially at his size. Finishing with 9 rebounds, really, really was excited that in 20 minutes, right? He almost gets a double-double in 20 minutes. Really, really excited to see that. Didn't take a 3 actually today. I know he went 1 of 5 in that first game, but he is somebody that they've talked about really can shoot it. Really excited to see what he's going to be able to do. Then obviously some other guys that I thought had really good games. We talked about Aiden Holloway. Oddly enough, he ended up shooting it not as well to end the game, but in that first half, he went 4 of 4 from 3. Did finish with 18 points, but, was somebody that clearly was very comfortable in the role that he was in, had 4 assists. did, as we mentioned previously, did lead the team in blue collar points. Nate talked about him diving on the floor, losing himself in the game, being, one of the best shooters on the team because of it. He kind of points to the fact that when you see a guy losing himself in the game, that often goes to he has some of the best offense, because when you lose yourself in the defense, that kind of in turn leads to better offense. You definitely saw some of that definitely today. LeBaron Philon, not his best stat line because he did have 5 turnovers. I know I saw some people saying that they felt that it was LeBaron just trying to do a little bit too much. I would agree with that. He is somebody that I think sometimes tries to, I talk about this on the football side of things as well. It's almost where you don't have to be flashy when just the basics are working. And I think that that's sometimes that LeBaron runs into that of like, hey, just do what you need to do. You don't have to be super flashy, because if you just do what you should be doing, that'll be enough. And I think sometimes that he gets caught up in that. At the end of the day, 5 turnovers in an exhibition isn't the end of the world. Obviously, would like to see it cleaned up. Hopefully you don't have that as the season comes rolling around, but not super upset with it. It just kind of is what it is. 16 points and what was honestly a pretty quiet night for LeBaron. So the fact that you get 16 in a quiet night, you got to be happy with that. Wrightsell only ends up getting 1 3 to fall. That was that super deep 3 that we talked about. Glad to see him have one go through the hoop. Obviously, 1 of 5 is much worse than LeBaron Philon, or sorry, than Latrell Wrightsell is generally going to shoot. So the fact that he only shot 1 of 5, I think is, you don't have to worry about that at all. I think Trelly's going to have some really, really good shooting nights. I would not be concerned at all. But the fact that you get double digits out of him in a game in which he's able to get 15 minutes in his first time back, no turnovers, you got to be really happy with seeing that out of Trelly. Again, I thought that his handle was really good. I thought that, what we saw of him on the floor was great. Driving to the basket was great. I thought that Trelly just overall was was really, really good in this game. Keaton Bristow and Taylor Bowen, neither one of them, flashed a ton from an offensive perspective. Both of them, gave you a good bit from a defensive perspective. I think they're both gonna, it's gonna take them a little bit of time, but I do think that both of them are gonna play major roles for us long term on the defensive side of the ball, because I think that both of them are really, really, really good defenders. Taylor Bowen obviously has a really good offensive part of his game as well. He ends up only scoring 4 points in this one, but I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I think that long term he's going to be somebody that I'm really excited to see. I think that what he brings you from a length perspective, additionally from an offensive scoring perspective, I think that Taylor Bowen is going to be, phenomenal. I would not be at all concerned about, the fact that he didn't really score in this one. And then Houston Millette, 9 points. 2 of 4 from 3, 2 of 4 from behind the arc. Did hit all of his free throws. He's somebody that I think long term is a phenomenal shooter. Anybody who's watched the show for any length of time, I've sung the praises of Houston Millette. I got to ask him a question at SEC Media Days. I love Houston. I think he's a phenomenal addition to the team. Really, really excited, to have him have a full season this season. Houston is really, really good. And then finally, the last one I would mention is like Aiden Sherrill. Aiden Sherrill finishes with 8 points, goes 4 or 5 with 6 rebounds. Only played 13 minutes, similar to Noah. Both of them, again, because of how fast-paced this game was. Aiden a little bit different because he got 2 personal fouls early in the first half, so he had to come out. But in general, both of them, how quickly this game was played. It's not super shocking the fact that you didn't see them, 25, 30 minutes. And obviously, nobody played more than 20 minutes except for Aiden Holloway, who played 30. That obviously was just how well he was shooting and Nate not wanting to take him off the floor. But in general, I would not be too concerned the fact that Aiden didn't play, more than 13 minutes in this one. But I thought that when he played, especially in that second half, I thought that I saw some really good things out of him, some really good rolls, some great finishes around the rim. In general, I think that Aiden is definitely coming into his own and what he needs to do in this offense. I think Blake Byler maybe tweeted about how Nate mentioned that Noah Williamson, or screamed at the team about how you have to watch how Noah sets screens because he wanted the rest of the team to do it similarly. Obviously, there are things that your big guys are definitely doing they're doing really, really well. And so I think that, again, Noah, Aiden, even a guy like Collins, I know he only played 7 minutes, but I think Collins, definitely has the frame and definitely has, some potential, right? I'm still open of the fact that I don't think he plays a ton this season. I personally thought he redshirts, potentially he does play, I'm not sure what's going to come down to, maybe long term, come SEC play or something, you need an additional center. So maybe he plays, but I'm personally of the mindset that he potentially redshirts, but would definitely be curious to see what other people have to say as it relates to all of that. If you enjoyed this video, this clip is a part of a live stream that I recorded on the channel live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. So if you're interested in the full live stream, if you check out the channel, like I said, you can see the full live stream where I answer questions, interact with the audience. But I really appreciate all the support and subscribe for more.